The bitter chill of winter gripped the land as I made my way to our family estate, nestled deep in the heart of the forest. It had been years since I last set foot on the grounds, but the memories of childhood summers spent exploring its vast expanse flooded back as I trudged through the snow. The old manor loomed ahead, its silhouette stark against the pale moonlight. Smoke curled lazily from the chimney, a welcome sight in the frigid air. But as I drew closer, a sense of unease settled over me, a feeling that something was amiss, that I was not alone. I pushed the feeling aside as I entered the warmth of the manor, the fire crackling in the hearth, casting flickering shadows across the walls. It felt good to be back, to reclaim a piece of my past that had long been forgotten. But as I settled into the familiar surroundings, a sense of dread began to gnaw at me. Where was my family? They should have been here to greet me, to share in the joy of my return. But there was no sign of them, no trace of their presence, save for the memories that lingered in every corner of the house. I searched every room, calling out their names into the empty silence. But there was no response, only the echo of my own voice bouncing off the walls. Panic rose in my chest as I realized the truth. They were gone, vanished without a trace. Fear gripped me as I ventured out into the cold night, searching for any sign of them in the snow-covered grounds. But the forest was silent, its depths shrouded in darkness. I was alone, utterly alone in the vast expanse of wilderness that surrounded our estate. As the hours passed, the temperature dropped, and the wind howled through the trees like the wails of lost souls. I huddled by the fire, clutching a blanket tight around my shoulders, desperate for any shred of warmth or comfort. But as I stared into the flames, a feeling of dread washed over me, a sense that I was being watched, that there was something lurking in the darkness just beyond the reach of the firelight. I forced myself to dismiss the thought as paranoia, but the feeling persisted, growing stronger with each passing moment. And then, in the dead of night, I heard it, a faint scratching at the window, like nails on glass. My heart pounded in my chest as I approached cautiously, peering out into the night. But there was nothing there, only the swirling snow and the empty expanse of forest beyond. I retreated back into the warmth of the manor, my mind racing with fear and uncertainty. What had happened to my family? And what was out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to pounce? I knew then that I was not safe, that the darkness that surrounded me held secrets far more sinister than I could ever imagine. And as I settled in for the long night ahead, I prayed that dawn would bring answers to the questions that plagued my mind. But deep down, I knew that some mysteries were better left unsolved, that some truths were too terrible to face. And as the wind howled outside and the fire dwindled to embers, I realized that I was truly alone in the heart of the forest, at the mercy of forces beyond my comprehension. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting a pale light over the snow-covered landscape, I knew that my journey was far from over, that the darkness that had descended upon our family estate was only the beginning of a nightmare that would haunt me for the rest of my days. And so, with a heavy heart and a sense of impending doom, I resolved to uncover the truth, to unravel the mystery of my family's disappearance, and confront the darkness that lurked in the depths of the forest. For I knew that only by facing my fears could I hope to find the answers I sought, and perhaps, just perhaps, bring an end to the nightmare that had consumed my life. With resolve coursing through my veins, I embarked on my quest to unravel the mystery that shrouded our family estate. The forest seemed to close in around me, the trees whispering secrets I couldn't decipher. Every step felt heavier than the last, as if the weight of the unknown bore down on me with each passing moment. I retraced my steps, scouring every inch of the estate for clues, no matter how small. But the snow had swallowed any trace of my family, leaving nothing behind but a haunting emptiness. As I ventured deeper into the forest, the shadows seemed to grow darker, the silence more oppressive. But despite the creeping sense of dread that gripped me, I pressed on, driven by a determination to uncover the truth. And then, just when I thought all hope was lost, I stumbled upon something, a glint of metal buried beneath the snow. With trembling hands, I brushed away the frost, revealing a rusted key buried in the frozen earth. My heart leaped with excitement as I realized its significance. This was the key to unlocking the secrets that lay hidden within the manor. I rushed back to the house, the key burning in my pocket like a beacon of hope. With trembling hands, I inserted it into the lock and turned, the sound of tumblers clicking into place echoing through the empty halls. The door swung open, revealing a darkness that seemed to swallow the light. I hesitated for only a moment before stepping inside, the weight of the unknown pressing down on me like a suffocating blanket. The air inside was stale and musty, the scent of decay hanging heavy in the air. I moved cautiously through the dimly lit corridors, my footsteps echoing off the walls like the tolling of a funeral bell. As I explored further, I came upon a staircase leading down into the depths of the house, a hidden cellar that I had never known existed. With a deep breath, I descended into the darkness, the shadows closing in around me like grasping hands. What I found there would haunt me for the rest of my days. A room filled with relics of a past long forgotten. There were shelves lined with ancient tomes, their pages yellowed with age, and jars containing strange, twisted specimens preserved in formaldehyde. But most chilling of all was the altar at the center of the room, adorned with symbols of a darkness I couldn't begin to comprehend. And there, lying upon the cold stone floor, were the remains of my family, twisted and contorted, their faces frozen in expressions of terror. I recoiled in horror, bile rising in my throat as the truth dawned on me. My family had stumbled upon something dark and malevolent, something that had consumed them whole, leaving behind nothing but echoes of their former selves. As I stood there, paralyzed by fear and disbelief, a voice echoed through the darkness, a whisper so faint I could barely hear it, yet so chilling it sent shivers down my spine. "Run," it said, a plea for salvation from a fate worse than death itself. And so, with the weight of the truth pressing down on me like a leaden shroud, I fled into the night, leaving behind the darkness that had consumed my family and the secrets that lay buried within the heart of our family estate. But even as I escaped into the cold embrace of the forest, I knew that the nightmare was far from over, that the darkness that had claimed my family still lurked in the shadows, waiting to ensnare its next victim. And as I disappeared into the depths of the forest, the echoes of that chilling whisper followed me, a haunting reminder of the horrors that lurked just beyond the edge of sight. The forest closed in around me, its branches clawing at my clothes as if trying to drag me back into the depths of despair. Every sound, every rustle of leaves sent a shiver down my spine, as if the very air itself was alive with malevolence. I stumbled through the underbrush, my heart pounding in my chest, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I dared not look back, for fear of what might lurk in the shadows behind me. But the feeling of being watched never left me, a constant reminder of the darkness that pursued me. As I ran, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being herded, guided towards some unseen fate that awaited me in the depths of the forest. And then, just when I thought I could run no further, I stumbled upon a clearing, a small patch of ground bathed in moonlight, a sanctuary amidst the darkness. I collapsed to my knees, gasping for breath, my body trembling with exhaustion and fear. But even as I caught my breath, I knew that I could not stay here, that the darkness would find me no matter where I tried to hide. With a heavy heart, I pushed myself to my feet and continued on, determined to put as much distance between myself and the horrors that lurked in the shadows. But no matter how far I ran, no matter how fast I fled, the darkness pursued me, a relentless force that refused to be outrun. As the hours passed and exhaustion threatened to consume me, I stumbled upon a familiar landmark, a small cabin nestled deep in the heart of the forest. It was old and weather-beaten, its windows dark and its door hanging askew. But to my weary eyes, it was a beacon of hope, a sanctuary from the horrors that pursued me. With trembling hands, I pushed open the door and stepped inside, the warmth of the fire and the scent of wood smoke washing over me like a benediction. For a moment, I allowed myself to believe that I was safe, that the darkness had been left behind. But as I settled in for the night, the whisper returned, faint and insistent, like the voices of the dead calling out from the depths of the forest. And as I lay there, listening to the wind howl outside and the shadows dance on the walls, I knew that my ordeal was far from over. For the darkness that had claimed my family and pursued me through the forest was not something that could be escaped. It was a part of me now. A shadow that would follow me wherever I went, haunting me until the end of my days. And as I drifted into an uneasy sleep, I prayed that dawn would bring relief from the nightmares that plagued me, that the light would banish the darkness once and for all. But deep down, I knew that the darkness would always be there, waiting just beyond the edge of sight, ready to consume me whole. The night seemed endless as I drifted in and out of fitful sleep, haunted by visions of my family's twisted faces and the whispers of the darkness that lurked just beyond the cabin walls. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind rattling the windows, sent a shiver down my spine, as if the very cabin itself was alive with malevolence. As dawn finally broke over the horizon, casting a pale light into the dim interior of the cabin, I rose from my fitful slumber, my mind heavy with exhaustion and dread. I knew that I could not stay here, that the darkness that had claimed my family would soon find me once again. With a heavy heart, I gathered what little supplies I could find and prepared to venture back out into the forest. I knew that I had to confront the darkness head-on, to uncover the truth of what had happened to my family, and put an end to the nightmare that had consumed my life. But as I stepped outside, the forest seemed to close in around me, the trees whispering secrets I could not decipher. I felt as if I was being watched, as if every shadow held some unseen threat, waiting to pounce. I pushed the feeling aside as I set out into the wilderness, following the path that led deeper into the heart of the forest. The air was heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth, the only sound the crunch of snow beneath my boots. But as I ventured further into the forest, the shadows seemed to grow darker, the trees closing in around me like a living, breathing entity. I felt as if I was being herded, guided towards some unseen fate that awaited me in the depths of the woods. And then, just when I thought all hope was lost, I stumbled upon a clearing, a small patch of ground bathed in sunlight, a sanctuary amidst the darkness. I collapsed to my knees, tears streaming down my face, as I realized that I had found the answer I had been searching for. For in the center of the clearing stood a lone grave, its headstone weathered and worn with age. And as I read the inscription carved into the stone, a chill ran down my spine. A name I had long forgotten, a name that sent a shiver of recognition through my very soul. It was then that I realized the truth, that the darkness that had claimed my family was not some malevolent force from beyond the grave, but a part of my own past, a darkness that I had long tried to bury. And as I stood there, alone in the clearing, I knew that I could no longer run from the truth, that I had to confront the darkness that lurked within me, to face the demons of my past and banish them once and for all. With a heavy heart and a renewed sense of purpose, I set out into the forest once more, determined to confront the darkness head-on and reclaim my family's legacy from the shadows that had consumed it. But as I ventured deeper into the heart of the woods, I knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, that the darkness would fight tooth and nail to maintain its hold on me, to drag me down into the depths of despair. And yet, I pressed on, driven by a determination to overcome the darkness that had haunted me for so long, to emerge from the shadows stronger and more resilient than ever before. For I knew that only by confronting the darkness within could I hope to find the light that had eluded me for so long, to reclaim my family's legacy and honor their memory in the face of the horrors that lurked in the depths of the forest. The forest seemed to stretch on endlessly, its twisted branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, grasping at the sky. Every step I took felt heavier than the last, as if the very ground beneath my feet was trying to drag me down into the darkness that lurked below. But I refused to be swayed by fear, to be consumed by the shadows that threatened to overwhelm me. With every ounce of strength I could muster, I pushed forward, determined to uncover the truth of my family's disappearance and put an end to the nightmare that had consumed my life. As I ventured deeper into the heart of the forest, I came upon a clearing, a small patch of ground bathed in moonlight, a sanctuary amidst the darkness. In the center of the clearing stood an ancient oak tree, its gnarled branches stretching out like twisted claws. I approached cautiously, my heart pounding in my chest, my senses on high alert for any sign of danger. But as I reached out to touch the tree, a sense of peace washed over me, a feeling of calm amidst the chaos that surrounded me. And then, just as suddenly as it had come, the feeling vanished, replaced by a sense of unease that settled in the pit of my stomach. I knew that I was not alone, that something was watching me from the shadows, waiting to strike. With a sense of urgency, I pressed on, determined to uncover the truth of what lay hidden in the depths of the forest. But as I ventured further into the darkness, the shadows seemed to grow darker, the air heavy with the scent of decay. And then, just when I thought all hope was lost, I stumbled upon a clearing, a small patch of ground bathed in moonlight, a sanctuary amidst the darkness. In the center of the clearing stood a crumbling stone altar, its surface etched with strange symbols and runes. I approached cautiously, my heart pounding in my chest, my mind racing with fear and uncertainty. But as I reached out to touch the altar, a voice echoed through the darkness, a whisper so faint I could barely hear it, yet so chilling it sent shivers down my spine. "Welcome," it said, a cruel mockery of a greeting from a force beyond my comprehension. I recoiled in horror, my mind reeling with fear and disbelief. I knew then that I had stumbled upon something far more sinister than I could have ever imagined, something that had lurked in the shadows of the forest since time immemorial. And as I stood there, paralyzed by fear and uncertainty, I realized that I was not alone, that the darkness that had claimed my family was still out there, waiting to consume me whole. With a sense of dread creeping over me, I turned and fled into the night, the echoes of that chilling whisper following me as I disappeared into the depths of the forest, a lone figure lost amidst the shadows. But even as I ran, I knew that the darkness would always be there, lurking just beyond the edge of sight, waiting to claim its next victim in the never-ending dance of light and shadow. As I ran deeper into the forest, the darkness seemed to close in around me, pressing in on all sides like a suffocating blanket. Every shadow seemed to pulse with malevolent energy, every rustle of leaves a whisper of impending doom. But I refused to give in to fear. With each step, I pushed myself harder, determined to outrun the darkness that pursued me, to find some shred of hope in the endless expanse of shadows. As I ran, I became increasingly aware of a presence lurking just beyond the edge of my vision, a dark figure that flitted between the trees, its eyes glowing with an unholy light. I knew then that I was not alone, that whatever darkness had claimed my family was now hunting me. With a surge of adrenaline, I pushed myself harder, my lungs burning with exertion, my heart pounding in my chest. But no matter how fast I ran, the figure seemed to keep pace, its presence a constant reminder of the horrors that lurked in the depths of the forest. And then, just when I thought I could run no further, I stumbled upon a small clearing, a patch of ground bathed in moonlight, a sanctuary amidst the darkness. I collapsed to my knees, gasping for breath, my body racked with exhaustion and fear. But even as I caught my breath, I knew that I could not stay here, that the darkness would find me no matter where I tried to hide. With a sense of grim determination, I pushed myself to my feet and continued on, driven by a desperate need to escape the horrors that lurked in the shadows. As I ran, I became increasingly aware of a presence lurking just beyond the edge of my senses, a darkness so profound that it seemed to swallow the very air around me. I knew then that I had stumbled upon something far more sinister than I could have ever imagined, something that had lurked in the shadows of the forest since time immemorial. But even as the darkness closed in around me, I refused to give up hope. With each step, I pushed myself harder, driven by a fierce determination to uncover the truth of what lay hidden in the depths of the forest, to put an end to the nightmare that had consumed my life. And as I disappeared into the darkness, a lone figure lost amidst the shadows, I knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, that the darkness would fight tooth and nail to maintain its hold on me, to drag me down into the depths of despair. But I was not alone. With every ounce of strength I could muster, I pressed forward, driven by a relentless determination to confront the darkness head-on and emerge victorious, to reclaim my family's legacy from the shadows that had consumed it. And as I disappeared into the depths of the forest, the echoes of that chilling whisper followed me, a haunting reminder of the horrors that lurked just beyond the edge of sight. But I would not be deterred. For I knew that only by confronting the darkness within could I hope to find the light that had eluded me for so long, to reclaim my family's legacy and honor their memory in the face of the horrors that lurked in the depths of the forest. The forest enveloped me in its twisted embrace, each step a struggle against the suffocating darkness that threatened to consume me. Yet, despite the creeping fear that gnawed at my resolve, I pressed forward, driven by an unyielding determination to uncover the truth. As I ventured deeper into the heart of the forest, the shadows seemed to grow thicker, weaving a tapestry of dread that enveloped me in its icy grip. But amidst the oppressive gloom, I stumbled upon a clearing, a small sanctuary amidst the towering trees, bathed in the ethereal glow of moonlight. In the center of the clearing stood an ancient altar, its weathered surface etched with cryptic symbols and runes that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. A sense of unease washed over me as I approached, a foreboding whisper of danger lingering in the air. But before I could retreat, a voice echoed through the darkness, a haunting melody that sent shivers down my spine. "Welcome," it murmured, a chilling greeting from the depths of the forest. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest, my senses on high alert for any sign of danger. Yet, despite the fear that gripped me, a strange curiosity stirred within, beckoning me closer to the enigmatic altar. With cautious steps, I reached out to touch the weathered stone, the symbols beneath my fingertips thrumming with an otherworldly energy. And then, in a flash of blinding light, the forest around me shifted, twisting and contorting into a realm of darkness and despair. Before I could comprehend what was happening, I found myself standing in the heart of a desolate wasteland, a realm untouched by time, where shadows danced and whispers echoed through the void. In the distance, a figure emerged from the darkness, a silhouette cloaked in shadows, its eyes ablaze with an unholy light. With each step, the ground trembled beneath its feet, as if the very fabric of reality bowed before its malevolent presence. I knew then that I had stumbled upon something far more sinister than I could have ever imagined, a darkness that had long lurked in the depths of the forest, waiting to ensnare unsuspecting souls in its web of despair. But even as fear threatened to consume me, a spark of defiance ignited within, driving me to stand my ground against the encroaching darkness. For I knew that only by confronting the shadows head-on could I hope to uncover the truth and reclaim my family's legacy from the clutches of darkness. With resolve coursing through my veins, I braced myself for the battle ahead, knowing that the journey into the heart of darkness had only just begun. And as the figure drew closer, its presence looming like a specter of doom, I steeled myself for the trials that lay ahead, ready to face whatever horrors awaited me in the realm of shadows. As the figure approached, its form flickering in and out of the shifting shadows, I stood my ground, my heart pounding in my chest. There was a palpable tension in the air, a sense of impending doom that hung like a heavy fog around us. But despite the fear that threatened to overwhelm me, I refused to back down. I squared my shoulders, steeling myself for whatever darkness lay ahead, determined to uncover the truth and bring an end to the nightmare that had plagued my family for generations. As the figure drew nearer, its features became clearer, revealing a visage twisted and contorted by centuries of darkness. Its eyes gleamed with an unearthly light, its mouth curled into a malevolent grin that sent shivers down my spine. I knew then that I was facing an ancient evil, a force beyond my comprehension that had lurked in the shadows of the forest since time immemorial. But even as fear threatened to consume me, a fierce determination burned within, driving me to stand firm against the encroaching darkness. With a steady hand, I reached for the ancient blade that hung at my side, its surface etched with runes of power and protection. Gripping the hilt tightly, I prepared to face the darkness head-on, to banish the evil that had haunted my family for generations. But before I could make a move, the figure spoke, its voice a chilling echo that reverberated through the void. "You cannot defeat me, mortal," it hissed, its words laced with malice. "I am the darkness that lurks within you, the shadow that consumes your every thought." I felt a chill run down my spine, but I refused to be swayed by its words. With a fierce resolve, I raised my blade, ready to strike against the darkness that threatened to engulf me. But as I moved to attack, the figure vanished into thin air, leaving behind nothing but a cold, empty void. I stood there, my blade raised, my heart pounding in my chest, unsure of what to do next. And then, in the distance, I heard a faint whisper, a voice calling out to me from the depths of the darkness. "Follow me," it said, a faint glimmer of hope in its words. With a sense of trepidation, I ventured further into the void, following the sound of the voice as it led me deeper into the heart of darkness. And as I disappeared into the shadows, I knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, that the darkness would fight tooth and nail to maintain its hold on me. But I refused to be swayed by fear. With every step, I pushed forward, driven by a fierce determination to uncover the truth and reclaim my family's legacy from the clutches of darkness. For I knew that only by confronting the shadows head-on could I hope to banish the evil that lurked within and emerge from the darkness stronger and more resilient than ever before. And so, with a steely resolve, I pressed on, ready to face whatever horrors awaited me in the realm of shadows. As I ventured deeper into the heart of darkness, the shadows seemed to writhe and twist around me, taking on a life of their own. Strange whispers echoed through the void, their words unintelligible, yet filled with a sense of foreboding. I followed the voice, my senses on high alert for any sign of danger. And then, just when I thought I could go no further, I stumbled upon a chamber, a vast, cavernous space filled with flickering torches and strange symbols etched into the walls. In the center of the chamber stood a figure, a hooded figure cloaked in darkness, its features obscured by shadows. I approached cautiously, my heart pounding in my chest, my mind racing with fear and uncertainty. But as I drew closer, a sense of recognition washed over me. The figure was familiar, its presence stirring memories long forgotten, a memory of a time when my family was whole, before the darkness had consumed us all. With a surge of hope, I called out to the figure, my voice echoing through the chamber. And then, in a flash of blinding light, the darkness receded, revealing the true horror that lay before me. For there, standing before me, were my family, twisted and contorted, their faces twisted into grotesque masks of pain and suffering. They reached out to me with gnarled hands, their eyes empty and hollow, their voices a chorus of anguished cries. I recoiled in horror, bile rising in my throat as I realized the truth. My family had been turned into ghouls, monstrous creatures consumed by the darkness that had claimed them, their souls trapped in a never-ending nightmare.
But even as despair threatened to consume me, a spark of defiance ignited within. With a fierce determination, I raised my blade, ready to strike against the that had ensnared my family.
But before I could make a move, the hooded figure spoke, its voice a chilling echo that reverberated through the chamber. "You cannot save them, mortal," it said, its words filled with malice. "They belong to me now, forever bound to the darkness that lurks within." I gritted my teeth, my grip on my blade tightening as I prepared to face the darkness head-on. I knew that the battle ahead would not be easy, that the forces arrayed against me were powerful beyond measure. But I refused to give up hope. With every ounce of strength I could muster, I charged forward, ready to confront the darkness and reclaim my family's souls from the clutches of evil. And as I disappeared into the darkness, the echoes of my family's anguished cries followed me, a haunting reminder of the horrors that lurked just beyond the edge of sight. But I would not be deterred, for I knew that only by confronting the darkness head-on could I hope to banish the evil that had consumed us all and emerge from the shadows stronger and more resilient than ever before. With every step deeper into the darkness, my resolve grew stronger, fueled by the desperate need to save my family from their cursed fate. The chamber seemed to stretch on endlessly, its walls closing in around me like a vice as I fought against the overwhelming sense of despair. But just when it seemed that all hope was lost, a glimmer of light pierced the darkness, a faint beacon of hope that guided me forward. With renewed determination, I pressed on, driven by the unwavering belief that redemption was within reach.
As I reached the heart of the night, confronted the livid figure, its foot hovering over me like a specter of death, with a defiant roar, raised my blade, ready to strike against the darkness that had ensnared my family.
But before I could deliver the final blow, the figure spoke, its voice filled with an ancient sorrow that echoed through the chamber. "Your family's fate was sealed long ago," it said, its words heavy with regret. "But there is still hope for you, mortal. Leave this place now, before it claims you as well." With a heavy heart, I realized that I could not save my family, that their souls were lost to the darkness forever. But even as despair threatened to consume me, a glimmer of hope remained, a chance to escape the clutches of evil and forge a new path forward. With a final glance at the twisted forms of my family, I turned and fled into the darkness, the echoes of their anguished cries fading into the void behind me. And as I emerged into the light of day, I knew that the battle against the darkness was far from over, but that I would face it with renewed strength and determination, ready to confront whatever horrors awaited me in the shadows.